Hello, I'm ABX and welcome back to another video. Today I have a TU35 glitch to share with you all, and I could say it's sensational. No, but in all seriousness, it's a really cool TU35 glitch. I don't usually show off glitches on my channel because most of them are kind of boring stuff, but this is one I think you will want to check out because it allows you to see the void in Minecraft console, something you can't usually do, by just simply using a super flat preset. So yeah, hopefully you do all enjoy today's video. Hopefully you think it's as cool as I do. If you do like it, please do like it and let me know because it helps out the channel a lot and lets know you do like this sort of weird stuff. But with that said, let's get straight into it. So if you do want to do this yourself, which I'm going to assume you do, you want to go into your customized super flat thing and you want to remove every single layer but bedrock. It's as simple as just press X, remove the layer, and it's simple as that, and make sure there's just bedrock there. You of course can't remove the bedrock, so you leave that how it is, and then you select your biome as either plains or desert. Desert, it requires an extra step that I'll show you later, so plains is the easier one, but if you really want a desert biome for other reasons and you want to play around with that bottom layer of bedrock, then you might want to select that. So yeah, you want to make sure you got plains, bedrock, and then you want to make sure villages are on. Villages are the key part of this. You can also turn on all the other stuff, and I did it just for fun. Maybe maximize the percentages too. Whatever you want to do with this is entirely fine. All you need to do is make sure villages are turned on and are at the maximum ratio, or even then it doesn't matter. But you can, the maximum ratio means more fun because this glitch does involve villages. So I'm going to go show you this in creative now, but you can do it in survival too. It's maybe more interesting for you to do that. But again, creative's just faster for the video. So the way this glitch works is the bedrock layer at the bottom of the map is meant to be immovable, right? Like nothing can go through that, nothing can replace that, nothing can be done there. But there's a couple of interesting ways that does happen, and the big one is to do with villages. So villages, actually kind of bugged in TU35. So instead of trying to generate normally, where their bottom blocks will always be on top of the bedrock, instead they try to generate over the bedrock with the gravel or with the sandstone, and that results in this really interesting thing here, where as you can see, the gravel tried to generate at the bedrock layer, but it couldn't. So instead, you get a bunch of just gravel blocks along here, which I guess would be nice if you really like gravel. If you're a big gravel fan, then I guess that's an interesting little thing. But the more interesting thing here than the gravel, at least for most people, is the fact that because there is no gravel here, instead you can see straight through to the void. So the void in Minecraft console actually is blue, not black, because it's not actually the void. There was a void at one point, but they removed it for some reason. And yeah, like this, as you can see, boom, there's just the blueness that you can see, and it's pretty cool, right? So if you're wondering how the gravel actually got there, it tries to generate at the bottom layer, but because gravel always tries to fall until it hits a block, in this case, it's not hitting a block, but it's also trying to fall, and it just kind of glitches out, and it does that, because, again, there's nothing below it for it to fall onto, but yet it's not falling at the same time, which creates this little issue right there. So with that said, yeah, that's how you end up with all this gravel right there, but the more interesting thing here is what you can do with this kind of void layer, because, again, looking into the void is really interesting. It is a really cool thing. You can see a few bizarre stuff, but the more interesting thing here, at least for me, is the fact that you can replace this with your own blocks. So I'll use sandstone for now, because this is what you will get if you have a desert village. Yeah, you'll find a bunch of sandstone at the bedrock layer, and the sandstone that you place, or any block you place here, cannot be broken by the hand, which is really cool. It can be broken if you really need to, using either TNT or using creepers, or just using some form of explosive, and like this, you'll see, boom, now we get rid of the sandstone, and we can place whatever we want there. So just in case you do it the desert way, you can do it that way, and I think this is really cool because it means you have control over extra blocks in your world that you otherwise wouldn't. So if you want to go around and destroy the rest of the village, so let's say you really hate this whole thing, what you can actually do is you can just place your TNT all over the place. You can destroy the entire thing, and then you can start from scratch using void blocks that you otherwise can't. So let's activate that now. That was a bad idea. There we go. Let's just link this whole thing up. Yeah, you can actually activate. that could have probably been done a little bit there, but you see the point. Like, just by destroying the rest of the village, then you have access to this big place where there is just void blocks. And if you want to replace that with quartz, so you want to replace that with obsidian, or whatever you want to replace it with, you can, and no one else can break it unless they know to use TNT, which most people probably aren't going to realize that. They'll just think, oh, there's a block I can't break. Isn't that pretty cool? And yeah, extra control of your world is something I think is pretty cool, but that's not where this whole thing ends. First of all, I think it's also pretty awesome that when you do the one layer of bedrock, all of the village buildings try to float because they don't want to generate on top of the bedrock, which is kind of bizarre in its own way. Yeah, on top of all the buildings trying to float, eventually, sometimes you'll find mushrooms underneath the houses, which I think that's a cool kind of unique way to look at the stuff. But also, this is really interesting for survival because it makes a fun challenge. Not only do you get access to the void, but imagine trying to do this entire world in survival. There's no trees, there's no greenery. All of your stuff has to come from the villages, and then has to come from the mine shafts, which float in the air, and then has to come from the stronghold. I think it's a really interesting kind of combination of stuff, and because there's just really nothing around here, it should be an interesting little challenge. So that's something I might do on a stream at some point. But yeah, to kind of finish back on the main point, you have access, you can control the bedrock right here. You can place whatever blocks you want here. If you place obsidian, it stays there forever, by the way, because you can't properly explode it, so make sure you keep that in mind. If you place other blocks here, you can kind of have this cool effect where you have control over a world that you otherwise shouldn't. Otherwise, I'd recommend checking this out anyway, just because it's really cool to stand on the void. I mean, for the first, the first thing about it is, as you can see, lighting doesn't probably work down here. When you get to y=1, stuff kind of just goes a little bit different. Like you can see right there, you can see further in the distance. Like you can actually see further in the distance using this. Second of all, you can see all the clouds go dark because again, lighting just is not correctly working. And in general, it's a very, very bizarre place and a very bizarre thing you might enjoy doing stuff with. So yeah, with that said, this has been The Void. Hopefully you all enjoyed today's little glitch thing. If you did like it, please do like it and let me know, because it helps out the channel and lets know you do like seeing the crazy stuff that accidentally shows up in updates like this one. This will probably be patched in TU36 or TU37 because they've been pretty harsh on Superplats recently. So again, I recommend you check it out now. Save the world so you can't lose it. And besides that, yeah, subscribe when you're around here. I make videos like this one every single day on my channel. If you subscribe, you'll see them daily on your homepage. Thank you all very much for watching, and goodbye.